On Friday, our nation once again celebrated one of its highest and most sacred holy days, the Trans Day of Visibility. It's very important that we have this special occasion dedicated to making trans people feel visible. You know, there's an urgent need here because other than the fact that trans people are relentlessly celebrated and promoted and elevated and worshiped by every major corporation and by every governmental institution and by most of the most prominent and powerful people in our country, other than all that, trans people are practically invisible. Trans people are indeed horribly marginalized. That is, if you don't take into account the trans pride flags hanging all over the place and, the trans propaganda shoved in front of our faces everywhere we go and the well-funded and coordinated campaign to promote transgenderism and recruit our children into it. Putting all that aside, trans people are really getting the cold shoulder from society. I mean, if you somehow didn't notice that all of our most powerful institutions are lying prostrate on the ground, groveling at the feet of this tiny minority, then Trans Day of Visibility was likely a very educational day. What I'm saying is that if you happen to have been walking through life blindfolded with earplugs for the past decade or so, then this sort of awareness campaign was made just for you. Okay, then you probably were walking around on Friday like, trans people, what's that? I had never heard of this before. But if you have been even vaguely conscious and aware prior to Friday, then Trans Day of Visibility may have seemed a bit redundant. Trans Day of Visibility, that's just another way of saying it's a day. It's just a day on the calendar. And nevertheless, the day was dutifully commemorated. Corporations and brands paid homage. Government agencies displayed their fealty. Even the National Weather Service put out a Trans Day of Visibility statement because no government agency, no institution is allowed to just be what it is and focus on, fulfilling the tasks that it was made to fulfill. No, because the primary duty now of every institution is to show their support and loyalty to the LGBT alphabet soup, and especially trans people. Of course, Joe Biden issued a presidential proclamation which somehow manages to be even more ingratiating and groveling than you would expect. The statement is lengthy, it goes on for paragraphs and paragraphs, but here's a piece of it. He says, Transgender Day of Visibility celebrates the joy, strength, and absolute courage of some of the bravest people I know. People who have too often had to put their jobs, relationships, and lives on the line just to be their true selves. Today, we show millions of transgender and non-binary Americans that we see them. They belong, and they should be treated with dignity and respect. Their courage has given countless others strength, but no one should have to be brave just to be themselves. Every American deserves that freedom. Transgender Americans shape our nation's soul, proudly serving in the military, curing deadly diseases, holding elected office, running thriving businesses, fighting for justice, raising families, and much more. As kids, they deserve what every child deserves, the chance to learn in safe and supportive schools, to develop meaningful friendships, and to live openly and honestly. As adults, they deserve the same rights enjoyed by every American, including equal access to health care, housing, and jobs, and the chance to age with grace as senior citizens. But today, too many transgender Americans are still denied those rights and freedoms. Now, all of that is completely bogus. They're not denied any of that at all, period. But he is right that trans people shape our nation's soul. In a way, not the way he intends, he's correct. Our nation's soul has been shaped, or misshaped, deformed, if you will, by its acceptance and promotion of and acquiescence to gender ideology. It shapes our soul. It defines us as a nation. In fact, as far as the history books are concerned, quote-unquote transgenderism will be one of the only relevant facts about our era. Every era in world history is going to be inevitably be defined, and it's going to inevitably boil down to just a couple of things. And this is one of our things. It will be the thing that our descendants look back upon with astonishment and confusion. So Biden is closer to the mark here than he intended to be. But as we've established, every day is Trans Day of Visibility, so it continued on Saturday in Vancouver, where anti-gender ideology activist Chris Elston, who goes by Billboard Chris on Twitter, and he's been doing great work on this topic, and he's been in this fight for years now. He showed up, as he so often does, to peacefully counter-protest a pro-trans rally. And for him, counter-protesting just means that he wears a billboard. And in this case, I think the sign said, "Children cannot consent to puberty blockers." And he wears a billboard, and he goes around and he talks to people. And that's what he did at this rally. Have you ever read the fine print that appears when you start browsing in incognito mode? It says that your activity might still be visible to your employer, your school, your internet service provider. To actually stop people from monitoring your online activity, you need to do what I do and use ExpressVPN. Think about all the times you've used Wi-Fi at a coffee shop, hotel, even a friend's house. Without ExpressVPN, every site you visit can be logged by the admin of that network. That's still true even when you're in incognito mode. ExpressVPN is an app that encrypts all of your network data and reroutes it through a network of secure servers so that your private online activity stays private. ExpressVPN works on all your devices. It's super easy to use. The app has one button. You tap it to connect, and your browsing activity is secure. Stop letting strangers invade your online privacy. Protect yourself at expressvpn.com/MattWalshShow. Use my link at expressvpn.com/MattWalshShow to get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/MattWalshShow. While Vancouver Police watched and, for one of the cops anyway, smiled, Elston was accosted and then physically assaulted by a trans-identified person who knows that he, the trans-identified person, has implicit permission to act out as violently as he wants. And he decided, as we could see here, to take full advantage of that privilege. Watch.
Why do you think they're getting that kind of representation? I mean, it's clearly was aggressive, violent assault.
You suck. You suck. You, you're not wanted. You're a idiot.
I don't know what to say. These police officers are mostly indoctrinated as well. They're afraid of the mob.
Because you're a idiot.
They're afraid that if they do anything to keep law and order, that they'll on the end of this abuse. So it's cowardice from everybody all around.
People probably want to. How do you keep your composure? How do you keep your composure?
Nothing.
Hey! You son
So that's about as straightforward as assault can get. And we had to bleep it out there. So it might have been, well, it's probably not that confusing, but the whole crowd was screaming F you at Elston. And then the man with the long hair and lipstick in particular was right up in Elston's face, like 6 inches from his face, screaming F you while he's trying to do an interview with this media outlet. And then Elston puts his hand up, and this is what the trans activists on social media are using to try to claim that this was not assault at all. Is, well, he puts his hands on him first. No, Elston puts his hand up to establish personal boundaries, which, by the way, you have every right to do. Nobody has the right to go up right in your face and scream at you. You have every right to establish your personal boundaries. And that's what he does. He puts his hand up. The trans dude responds by smacking him in the head and throwing him to the ground. He feels entitled to his violent rage, the trans person does, and for good reason, because the police think that he's entitled to it too, which is why they did not arrest the assailant and even later justified the attack by telling Elston, and this is on camera, that it was a mutual fight. So if you are accosted by this drooling rage mob screaming F you in your face and then smacking you in the face, that is a mutual fight as far as the cops are concerned. But this is how we make trans people visible, I suppose, by giving them carte blanche to do whatever they want all the time. And they got some more visibility the following day when Dylan Mulvaney added to his long list of corporate sponsorships with a new one from Bud Light. Mulvaney announced the partnership on Sunday. Listen.
Hi. Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us. So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way, it's a cause to celebrate. This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too. Love ya! Cheers. Go team. Whatever team you love, I love too. Okay. Love ya. Okay. Break a leg. Woo!
This is how persecuted these people are. I mean, all a man needs to do is announce that he's a woman, and he'll be immediately showered with more endorsement deals than an NFL quarterback gets. Okay, in fact, one of the only quarterbacks who rivals Mulvaney's sponsorship tally is Colin Kaepernick, and he's not even a quarterback. The only good news that I can see here is that it should be very easy to boycott Bud Light, given that their beer tastes like rainwater siphoned out of a tin bucket that's been sitting in your backyard for 3 weeks. I mean, Bud Light tastes very much like malaria and rust. And it also tastes like nothing at the same time. So it's kind of an impressive concoction in that way, but not one that I would actually want to consume on purpose. The only people who do want to consume it are frat boys or 55-year-old bikers. And nobody in between those two extremes. Like literally nobody else has ever had Bud Light, at least not in the last 20 years. Which makes you wonder who this is meant to appeal to. Okay, who in either of those target demos would be more likely to purchase and drink Bud Light now that a man in a dress is adorning its cans? I mean, how does this make good business sense? The answer, of course, is that it isn't being done in order to sell more products. It's being done as a signal, as a symbol, as a sign of allegiance to the trans agenda. And the way to signal this allegiance is to constantly make trans people visible, even if they're already as visible as any minuscule minority can possibly be or has ever been in history. But it's still not enough. It's never enough. It can never be enough. And that's partly because progressivism can do nothing but march forward, can do nothing but progress. Progressivism, it progresses like bone cancer, eating away at its host until there's nothing left to consume. But also partly because trans ideology in particular is so flimsy, it's so frail, that it's always on the verge of collapse. It's perched precariously on this edge, and it must be aggressively propped up all the time, every second of the day. The trans person individually barely believes the claims he makes about himself and his own identity. His self-perception is this superficial, ephemeral thing. It's a lie that he whispers constantly to himself, and he shouts it at the world and demands that it be shouted back to him. No other group needs this kind of support because no other group is in a constant state of trying to convince itself that it exists. Now, there are many other groups in modern America who demand special rights and special privileges and entitlements. But the one thing they don't need is to be constantly persuaded of their own existence. And that's the real difference here. That'll do it for this portion of the show. As we move over to Members Block, hope to see you there. If not, talk to you on tomorrow. Godspeed.